So, Jamie Lynette Yazzie, right? Where is she? Where is so many indigenous women, right? That go missing. You have indigenous women that go missing. You have Mexican women that go missing. You have blacks, whites, right? Italians. You have so many different people from different cultures and all the rest that go missing, but indigenous women, right? I just made a video about indigenous women going missing, or women around certain reservations, right? Different states and stuff like that, right? What is happening? Where is even Jamie, as I asked in my opening, right? Pinion. Pinion, let me say it correctly. Pinion, Arizona, right? Questioning boyfriends, questioning girlfriends. But to know these ladies have been going missing and there, say, being boyfriends involved, right? Why is it that so many of the women who go missing, once they go missing, right, the boyfriends? Domestic violence is what I'm pointing at. I didn't say it, I said it somewhat indirectly, right? Domestic violence as part of the situation when they go missing, right? So many of indigenous women's stories involve such. There was in fact a video I seen uh where it was about indigenous women going missing, and how there was one young female who was, I believe, thrown off a bridge, right? Thrown off a bridge, but then she was found. Her sister said she was found under the bridge. It was a very, very high bridge. Her body was found under the bridge, but her body had been badly burnt or something like that. Cut up or something, right? Her sister didn't fully say if there were any boyfriends or anything involved with that, but there have been multiple stories of boyfriends being involved, right? I keep going back to that because that's the question. You can question the culture, you can question if the boyfriends were part of their culture or their practices or outside, right? The boyfriends, indigenous people, right? Who are these boyfriends involved with these missing persons? That's another thing you would ask. What do they practice? What is their culture? Are they part of indigenous people? Are they outsiders, right? Do they have when I'm pointing at, do they have something against indigenous people? Because just because someone say that, well, I'm, a boyfriend of such and such, they could be state to state boyfriends, right? Involved with these women. They could in fact have something against the culture that the women are a part of, and that could be why these women go missing. Who knows, right? They could be playing as if they're, the indigenous women's boyfriend or something, right? June 30th, 2019 is and was the day Jamie Lynn Yazzie was last seen. The location being Pinion, Arizona, within the boundaries of the Navajo Nation Indian Reservation, right? Navajo. So Jamie, she's another victim who has gone missing, like so many indigenous, like I stated before, Mexican, whites, Indians, blacks, you know, Italians. There's so many, some people get more coverage. Certain individuals, certain skin tones, all the rest, right, get more coverage from media than others, right? Indigenous women going missing from various states. That's what's strange about it, because that, I said in my last video, that could have been going on for years, right? people going missing, them not getting enough coverage, but now that they're getting coverage on them going missing, is to say they might have always been going missing. Indigenous women. The media coverage not being fully there, given to them so that people can know that they're going missing. That sort of thing could have been at play even years ago. Like that, like this might not be a new thing where they're going missing like that. It's just more being, what is the word? Being found out, brought to the light, being found out, right? About them. Yeah, because the studying of history, some things are kept hidden, some things are found out, right? It would take researchers and all the rest, right? Those who study cultures and stuff like that, sociology and all the rest, right? Psychologists and all the rest, to possibly get involved in the background life, knowing livelihood, even indigenous women, right? Knowing, finding out, studying to see, because it is hard to pinpoint, were indigenous women going missing back in early 2000, right? Jamie went missing in 2019, right? So many have been going missing, right? But were they going missing even back in 2000? Were they missing just as much in 1996? Because to not have the coverage there, and that being a complaint, to not have the coverage to say, well, we're not being, them going missing is not being reported enough, to authorities, or it's not being shown enough by media, is to say that's where you delve into the cultures and stuff like that to find out. Because something more could be going on. Not saying amongst their practices or amongst their culture or something, but even that will be tied in with that. What do they practice? What is their culture? What does it involve? If there's disagreements within the culture, how is that resolved, right? Some people wouldn't want to face that sort of thing. Why would you bring that up and talk about that, about indigenous women and how they resolve matters and issues? You would want to know how their problems are resolved. Indigenous people, cultures and stuff like that. Researchers and people that get into sociology and psychology will want to know all that, because even that will pinpoint to why they're going missing. How do they settle their disagreements with one another? Even when it involves boyfriends, whether they're boyfriends outside that are not in part of indigenous people, whether they're boyfriends that's outside of that, or whether they're inside of the cultures and practices. Because see, every culture, that involves sociology as well, right? Sociology more so, right? Stuff like that. Not everybody handles differences and stuff like that differently. You have certain types of people or cultures and stuff like that where when they handle their differences, sometimes it in fact leads to death. That pinpoints to missing persons, right? When boyfriends and girlfriends argue amongst indigenous people, them being the people, how are the men to settle their differences with the females or the ladies? Does it involve domestic violence? Because domestic violence does come up. People wouldn't want me to question that, because they will feel, well, you're bringing down how people view them, indigenous people. Well, you can say that about white people, black people, all types of people you can say that about or question, right? You're not really saying it about them, you're bringing it out in question. But people will take it, you can say it about. But even you can say it about, well, blacks kill, whites kill. Who don't know that? You can go anywhere and watch the news and see that for yourself. All types of individuals killed and all the rest, right? No matter their shade of skin, right? So you would in fact still want to question cultures and practices. Let me see. You have certain cultures, they smoke certain things and stuff like that, right? Or practices or religious practices, right? That's why I stated such. If I were a black person, right, African American, I might be a part of this group or I might be a part of that, right? Uh, it might be religious, right? It could be that. It could be a cult, right? It could be something like that, right? Where when we settle our differences or something, right, lives are taken or something. People go missing or something. You have had cultures even years back before my mother and before my grandmother and all the rest, where people used to kill their children and stuff like that. You have that go on now, but even there's religions and cults and stuff that be involved in that. Cults, religions, all the rest, right? That's why you ask, because if you don't ask, more and more people will continue to go missing. What are their practices? If a relationship were to end, what is the practice in the ending? Right? Okay, so it's known and was known that before Jamie's disappearance, she had fights with her boyfriend. It goes back to that. Before she disappeared. Not right before, but before she disappeared. So that's to say it had that domestic violence and all the rest amongst Jamie had been going on for a while, right? Her family knew that there were issues of fights with Jamie and her boyfriend, right? That boyfriend also lived in the same location as she, and that location being Pinion, Arizona, right? Same as Gabby Petito, right? Her situation, it was her boyfriend, fiance. Law enforcement is still looking for him. He's on the, I don't know if he's completely on the run or what the situation, the way he looks make him appear as if he's on the run. Gabby, the missing person who was, her body was found, right? Her boyfriend, fiance. When you don't step forward and all the rest, you make yourself appear as if you're on the run. On the run. Media will take it that way and the public will take it that way, right? You're not saying fully I was not, that was not me involved with her disappearance or her going missing or her body being found, remains, whatever, right? When you don't say that sort of thing as a boyfriend or fiance, boyfriend, fiance, when you don't say that, everyone stand in question of you. Gabby's boyfriend, fiance, right? So law enforcement is still in question of his whereabouts. Everyone is, right? So, the boyfriends oftentimes become suspects. You're now suspect. You're now very suspect, right? Because once someone goes missing and you don't step forward and you don't say, well, this here is the situation, or this here was the situation, or, that sort of thing. You become suspect. Some people could fear not coming forward. Why? That was not me involved with Jamie going missing. I'm her boyfriend, or was her boyfriend. I'm her boyfriend if she's still alive, right? I'm her boyfriend. We fought a lot. We had fights. My family possibly knows. Her family knows because her family said we had fights. But I was not involved in her disappearance, and this is how and why. She possibly left on her own accord or something, right? But that was not me. When you don't never come out and say that wasn't me, you just automatically suspect. More than anybody. Because the fights. We're on investigation discovery. The ID logo stands in the far left. Live now, obsession, dark desires. Domestic violence. That's enough to harm anybody, and then something happens where there's a murder or something, and then you hide the body or something like that, right? To gain access to this is to provide who you're subscribed to. You would in fact have access to that. It's the way that indigenous women are going missing. Because you would see their population as more smaller than most in society, indigenous women, right? People will perceive them as their population as smaller, right? And you would think that would be taken as somewhat of them going missing as being a bigger issue. You would. Because if you view a population of people as smaller versus more other individuals in society, you will make that a bigger matter and bring it more to the forefront. Indigenous women, I'm black, I'm white, or whatever, right? I see them as being a smaller population. I will say society. I say society because we're all part of society. They might be wherever they're located, right? Some of them are not in cities. Some of them, yeah, stuff like that, right? Directly. Some people say society and they mean just in the city, right? They don't mean like people that live in, on reservation areas or around reservations or out in the woods, and they're still part of society as well, right? But I'm just saying, you would think this sort of thing would be more brought to the forefront as being a bigger problem, because it leads to like how you have resources. You might have certain resources that become scarce. Does that or does that not make sense? Like indigenous women. That's a special type of resource. And indigenous women, they're not really a resource. We're in fact, all human beings are resources. We are. Not to be used as objects, no. But we are in fact resources. I provide my skills. I'm a resource. I'm a resource which provides skills, which is a resource, right? Which can be taken as a resource, right? Same with indigenous women. They provide something to their own culture. They provide something to their own people. They have their own skills. That's what I mean when I say resource. Indigenous women as resource, not to be taken and used, but for them to provide for their own communities and stuff, right? Like that, right? That's to say even them being resources could become scarce. Indigenous women, indigenous people. That's why you would make a big thing out of them going missing. You just would. Why are they going missing? Because it becomes where they become extinct. Extinct. Why did I say extinct? Like stinky. I didn't say. Yeah. How you not saying your words or terms properly, right? Extinct. Yeah. Where just like how you have, that's what anything almost like wiped out in a sense, right? There's groups of people that people are not bringing to the light that they're going missing, and it's not being aired enough. So now they're completely wiped out, their cultures and stuff like that. That's just like how when you go back in the day and you say, well, there were certain, cultures, animals, all the rest. Extinct. Becoming extinct, right? That's what it leads to. Because see, if there weren't boyfriends involved in that and them going missing, right? Many of them, I would question, I wouldn't say government. Could government be involved? And killing these women off, murdering them, right? Because even that points to, them reservations and stuff like that. Some people, conspiracy. theorists, right? We'll start to question stuff like that. Could the government be involved? Usually older people will question stuff like that. Is the government involved in them going missing? Because it points to reservations as well as our past and money being involved in that. And the more people on the reservations that go missing, the more this doesn't have to be paid out. You don't have to pay money out to them and all the rest, right? And also reproductive organs. The more we help them to become scarce, indigenous women, the more they're on the reservations and we help them to become scarce as the government or something, by making them become missing persons, right? Say if we help them to disappear, kill them off or something, right? Missing persons, then the women, targeting the women, then we don't have to do payouts or something, right? The history in it, right? Because see, women have babies. That's what I'm pointing at. Indigenous women go missing, right? They have reproductive organs where they're able to make more babies, right? That prevents, if we help them to go missing, make them disappear, indigenous women, if we make them disappear, they can't have babies. Can we take their land even more? That's what older people would question. I'm just bringing that out, right? Some older people, right, skeptical people, right, they will question that sort of thing, what I just said. If you make indigenous women disappear, you're part of the government or something, right, whatever. Or whoever, wants the land. Some people might want those reservations, the land and all the rest, right? And if you kill those women off where they can't have babies and reproduce, that gives you more access to the land. It would, or it could. If we have indigenous women and we make them disappear, they can't have babies. Remember, those babies would help get the land as well going into the future. But if there's no babies because we help them babies to never be born because we make the indigenous women disappear, right? Government or anybody, we will have more access to that land. And we might in fact be boyfriends, we might not. They may or may not be boyfriends. They might just be acting like they're boyfriends or something. Who knows, right? Skeptics, I say, they will question all that. Because those indigenous women still point to the land as well. It just doesn't involve boyfriends. You have to look at the land as well. What is the history in indigenous people? Those areas, outside locations, reservations, right? Is there money in that? Is there money tied to that, right? Could you profit if you kill off the people in those locations? Could you gain the land in killing off those people, right? That. Let me just move on. So, unlocked series. Oh, people don't want me to talk like that. Whoa. What's the value in the land that they're on? To receive a newsletter, to type your email address in and click next, and you will in fact receive a newsletter from Investigation Discovery. So, dear viewers, let me know what you think and feel about the video. May you enjoy your day. I will in fact enjoy mine, and I'm gone for now. 1.